Are there any pastors or podcasters that you like and appreciate their messages? Your recommendations, please. So I guess this is our softball last question. So I actually should probably own the fact that I don't really listen to other pastors preach. Yeah, that's probably something I really shouldn't say out loud, but there we go. And I really should. David and I have this conversation all the time about we might be better preachers if we just listen to other pastors preach or if we listen to each other preach or something like that. But I often don't listen to other pastors, but I am a podcast listener. And the reason that I listen to podcasts is I listen to podcasts for information that's not church related. I listen to a lot of storytelling podcasts, and I'll tell you names in a second. I listen to a lot of storytelling podcasts because I think that part of my job is to learn to tell the story well. And if I listen to other people telling stories, then I might be able to articulate my own in a better way. And I listen to podcasts about science and things like that. But pastors that I read Lauren Winner. She's Episcopalian. She was one of my professors at school. She studies Christian spirituality. I like her a lot. I read Barbara Brown Taylor, who's probably, in my opinion, maybe one of the best preachers in America right now. She's also Episcopalian. But both of those people I read, I don't listen to. But podcasts, I listen to a podcast called The Moth. And I'm going to say that, again, not Christian, so some of the topics are not necessarily churchy things. Some of the words are not necessarily churchy words, but the concept is that they tell a story without notes. And that's often what I'm doing, is telling a story without notes. And I listen to This American Life, and I listen to a podcast that I just got into that I was telling Tommy about at the back. It's called Invisibilia, and it is about unseen forces that help, that form human relationships. So it's how humans relate to each other, which I think is fascinating.
So, I would love to listen to sermons on television, particularly watch the whole thing, but I have a slight conflict, and it's called my husband, who watches ice road truckers, swamp monsters, every sport there is, and he downloads every single thing about the war, and so trying to get that TV away from him is hard. I could go in the kitchen, but that's not comfortable. I'd have to sit at the kitchen table. So I really struggle. But I have a great friend. You're going to see her in a minute. Her name is Ruthie Estes, and she watches all of the pastors. And she's constantly emailing me, you need to listen to this. Pull up this guy and listen to him. And then she sends me quotes. Well, this is the quote that I got out of that one. And I don't do a lot of podcasts, but I tell you, I do read. And Barbara Brown Taylor is one of mine. I'm constantly reading books on preaching. But I really love John Ortberg, and I love Max Lucado because he writes very simply, and he's humorous. And I know that I handed my son one of his books called Facing Your Giants. It was the story of David and Goliath. And that one book, even though he knew Jesus, it brought him back again. And he decided he wanted to face his giants. So I have a variety of different authors that I love to listen to. I particularly love to watch things on television like Nova, anything about, that's where I learned about Albert Einstein. Like the other day, there was something on there, Is God a Mathematician? And talking about how the universe is so ordered according to numbers. And so all of that helps me as I begin to prepare for sermons. And, I'm like you, though. I don't listen to a lot of other pastors. So.